The Pam Goodwin Show is a show that features the biggest names in television, successful entrepreneurs, future new talents, and local heroes. She is blazing her own trail, making music in Nashville, Montana made, and North Carolina braised. Welcome, Stephanie Quayle. I am thrilled to have my next guest. We met, I don't know, I've been following her on social media and love all of her posts of everything she's doing. So I'm thrilled to be able to talk to Stephanie Quayle. Hello, Stephanie.
Hi, beautiful. I feel like we became such fast friends because you're such a joy and you're just so much light. So I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, I've been reading a lot about you, and I want to find out, is it true that you were an exchange student and you went to Switzerland, and that's how your career began?
It's so strange. I mean, I'm doing this deep dive into the last, 42 years of my life and how I kind of happened. And yeah, 16 years old, Bozeman, Montana, where I grew up. And I was having a really hard time in high school. My freshman year, I just got bullied a lot and hazed. I'm like, I got to get out of here. And the only way I could run away legally was, an exchange program. So I ended up going with Youth for Understanding to Freiburg, Switzerland. And it was for my junior year of high school. And I just not only fell in love with, holy cow, there's a world out here that I haven't even begun to see. But there was a band, like the first month I'm there, Pam, that's, talking about their lead singer had left the band. She'd gone to do other things and they were looking for a new singer. And I'm like, hello. And, I'd never done anything professionally before. I'd sang in church and in choir. And they said, well, okay, come audition, you weird American. And I did. And they hired me and we started writing together and playing together. And we put a little album together. We made our first CD together. And when I got up on stage for the first time, I made sense. I made sense to myself. And I knew in that moment, this would be my life. I had no idea how. It was the must. It was like, okay, this is where you belong. How do we do this?
So what gave you the guts? Do you feel like it was an internal calling that I know you said you had to leave the country because you were bullied, which really surprises me to hear. But what gave you the guts? And then what was that feeling that knew, this is my passion at that early age? Because I read that you started, taking piano lessons at the age of 4 and then guitar?
Yeah. So music was so a part of our lives. Growing up on the farm, we had a little AM radio that played country music in the barn. When we were out doing chores, there was always someone humming along or something. I just didn't know, it wasn't a possibility of a career. This is a much different time when I was coming into my teen years and such. We didn't have social media. We didn't have, that way of communicating and putting out music the way that we can now. So for me, it was just like, it wasn't an outside thing that happened. It was internal. My mom sings, my dad, we just love music. But I didn't know it was possible to be a career. But songwriting for me is so healing that I think at this time in my life, I really appreciate the power of music and songwriting, especially just from a self-healing place. When I can't find the words, I put them in a song and then I'm like, oh, that's what I was trying to say. That's like, it kind of puts me back together. And it's just really incredible, the power of music. And then, as I've gone through all the different challenges that just life can sometimes bring, for me, it had to mean more than just being known or selling out stadiums. Like, that's all great stuff for sure. And being at the top of the charts. But when you can impact lives in a positive way to where they take something away from your music that keeps people going, there's nothing greater than that. And that's where I think that fire in my belly when I first got on stage. I was like, oh, this is what you're supposed to do, not only for yourself, but also to give to others, because that's the greatest job we have on this planet, is to give to others, I think.
I agree. I feel music makes the world go around. I've been listening. I'm a big music, especially country music, and I love some of the titles of your songs. How did you come up with them? Especially, one that I love, and we have we both all love Dolly, but Drinking with Dolly.
I mean, like even my mug. I mean, come on. So this song was such a gift. I think that when I first came into the business, I didn't know the songwriter community of Nashville. And I really learned that, the moment I got here, and just to the extent of these incredible songs and songwriters that are just kind of out there. And my producer at the time, Matt McClure, we were working together, and he's like, I've got a song I think you need to hear. And everyone knows my love for Dolly goes forever. So he goes, you got to hear this song, written by Rachel Proctor and Victoria Banks. And it was just a guitar vocal, Pam. And I just, like, the first line out of the song, sometimes I think I was born too late, came into the world in the wrong decade. I'm like, well, if that isn't me. So it was immediate. It was visceral. It was out any kind of, well, how does this fit into the plan, the business side? And really leaning into my intuition of just like, this song is not only a beautiful tribute to Dolly, but the women of country music that have paved the way for all of us to keep going and have that, just, kind of like camaraderie that you'll find a way. And if you just keep going, and we have so many tremendous women in country music that it's, Drink with Dolly. And then to have a letter from her, Pam, I think it was about, maybe 6 months after the song had been out. It was my very first song at big country radio. There's all different levels. And, to have her hear it, appreciate it, and then take the time, I say, right, type. You just see Dolly, right? Type it. Well, it just makes me happy. So yeah, it's really special. And I'm so proud that was the beginning, because that's back in 20, well, not the beginning. I've had many beginnings, but the beginning of my, country music kind of more exposure really came because of that song. And it's really precious.
I know I was thrilled when I saw you at our event in Nashville last October. And that was the first time I had, for our Kiss Breast Cancer Goodbye event at the Country Music Hall of Fame with our headliner, Dolly Parton, and singing 16 songs. So I was thrilled to see you.
That, Pam, was such an extraordinary event. And I just want to commend you for, being able to put that together, especially in the times that we're in, and raise so much money. Wow, it was so incredible. And, I think that sometimes we forget that, like Dolly and other artists, like that's a real person with an amazing heart. And she is larger than life, but boy, did she give her whole self up on that stage that night, didn't she? Just being so raw and open and adorable and effervescent.
I know that was the first time she said she had performed since 2015, and the part I love the most is when she shared with the audience that she goes, "I think I'm coming down with a sore throat," and then it turns out she said, "I was just a little nervous," and
it's so precious.
I know, it was just wonderful. Yeah. How do you separate yourself from the industry as far as? There's so many people all trying. What advice would you have of someone, new trying out to enter the country music industry? What lessons have you learned?
Man, lots. How much time do we have? I think the greatest lesson really came not from music, but I think it's a picture that stays with me because it was a physical experience of checking out the competition. And I think this is so important. The phrase, only compete with yourself and champion everyone else. That's like the succinct version of what I'm about to share. Back in 2008, I ran the LA Marathon, and it was on a whim. I'm not a, I don't know what I'm doing, but I wanted to. And I just wanted to do it in under 6 hours, which seems like forever thinking about 6 hours running. What was I doing? But there was a moment, I think it was mile 19. Maybe mile. It was in a part of LA. It was very industrial. And I was just starting to get the weight of like, okay, this is like, how much longer do we have to go? And I felt, you can feel when people are behind you, and you can feel that energy and that momentum. And in that moment, I felt myself, Pam, turn to see who was behind me and turn. And when you physically turn like that far, it slows you down. And no two people are alike. No one in music, like, the key is just to be yourself and your authentic self and share that forward. Because if you're trying to be someone else, they're already there. We don't need another Dolly Parton. We have Dolly Parton, So I don't want to be Dolly Parton. She inspires me to no end. I want to be like her. I want to lead with joy. But I want to be the greatest Stephanie Quayle. And I think that sometimes the noise of everyone else passing, I've got so many artist friends that we came to this town at the same time, and they're massively successful. And there are others that have left entirely. So I think it's really, you got to know, like right here, everyone can do this with us. You can kind of see, like, you don't have to turn your whole body to see what's going on around you, but really run your own race. And like find your purpose in your music. I think for me, if I don't believe what I'm singing, neither will the audience.
I love that advice. I know when I first heard you sing, I feel like you have a completely unique voice, which I really love, and playing the guitar. I know you're from Bozeman, Montana.
Right.
And then you have a Summerfield farm in North Carolina, and then you live in Nashville. And how do you do it all in all three of those places?
I take a lot of pictures and I write a lot of Post-its. So just a little backstory. So originally I'm from Bozeman, Montana. And when I met my husband, and he had also fallen in love with Montana, and he's originally from North Carolina. So my business keeps me in Nashville. His business keeps him in North Carolina. So and then Montana's like our, where we fell in love, and that's our dream. So we get to live in that. And so we go there quite often and have a place there. My whole family is still there. It was so wild. We were like forever honeymooners, right? Because for the most of our relationship, we've been together 8 years. We're coming up on 7 years marriage of commuting to each other. So it really wasn't till 2020 that I went to the farm, the band came back to Nashville, and we just kind of didn't know what it was all going to look like. And really, we chose to make that time for our family, and like, okay, we have to be together. We can't do certain things. Let's, like, who are we? And I remember David and I both kind of going like, I like you. This is, hey, we're good at this. We could really do this beyond like, seeing each other just when we could. So our farm is a, working farm, and we didn't really know what essential workers meant for different businesses, and a farm never sleeps. So we rolled up our sleeves and prepared for whatever we needed to. And our farm is so precious. I've been able to bring music to the farm, which is my whole heart. And we've got all kinds of creatures. And then, of course, our beef business. And it's a special place. So somehow we do it. I always say, when you want to do something, you find a way. And when you don't, you make an excuse for how it all fell apart.
That's my saying, find a way and never, never, never give up, are my two mantras that I always say. Yeah. And on your videos, the part that really stands out a lot is, of course, the scenery, but your clothes. And I know you're represented by a lot of brands, all the way from, I have them, Wrangler and Bass Pro Shops, Harley Davidson, and your awesome boot company. Oh. How did you get all of those brands to sponsor to be a sponsor?
Right. Work together. Well, I think first and foremost, whenever I'm looking to work with a brand, it's got to make sense. It's got to be real. It's got to be authentic. And starting with Wrangler, because I've been wearing Wrangler since I was a teeny tiny, that was just, I was wearing them, and it started very organically and has grown over years and years and years of, building something that they know they can count on. And I think for me as an artist and as a brand, when I'm representing a brand, I have to have something to offer, or it doesn't make sense. It has to be a win-win. And it's just been so much fun. My husband wears Wranglers, my stepson, it's a family affair. Now my stepdaughter's like, where are my Wranglers? It's really cute. And then, with Bass Pro, again, I've been fishing my whole life, and that space was just very natural. And I met Johnny Morris, who owns Bass Pro and is such a conservationalist. And I think that that's something that speaks so much to my heart about our outdoors, protecting them and sharing them. And so it was one of those things that we got to do stuff together. And that's been a really just a beautiful way to incorporate my Montana outdoor way of growing up into my, whole world. And then the Harley thing. Okay. So I write Evel Knievel, which is, Evel Knievel is one of the songs off my last album. I wrote that with a couple of songwriter friends of mine here in Nashville. And Evel Knievel is from Montana. Growing up, he was like a superhero, and that song is all about perseverance and finding a way. And so, we wrote the song, and then come to find out Evel Knievel had ridden Harleys. And so my mom has been riding Harleys for over 20 years. I ride horses. She taught me how to ride horses. And so I was like, well, what if we did something where she's teaching me how to ride motorcycles? And she mentors me through getting on a Harley and learning to be a really competent rider. And that was probably the coolest experience, because it's not only with my mom, which I'll cherish those videos for the rest of my life, but to watch her kind of lead me from behind. So when I was, first getting started, she'd follow me and, on her bike, and it's just such a special thing. So to be able to carry that through, my Christmas present this year from her is to go on a ride, like a 2-day in Montana together, riding our Harleys, which is just, how cool is that to say? I'll go ride my Harley with my mom. It's pretty awesome. And, and then of course, my relationship with Lucchese is just, it's a newer one. I've been wearing Lucchese's for a very long time, from the stage to the saddle. And, just to be able to craft a line with them, and, the craftsmanship and the artistry. And I have so much I want to say about that, but I can't yet. So it's just really an honor. And I love representing brands that are authentic to, what my lifestyle, and being able to share that forward, right? Because I want people to see possibility. And I think that sometimes things are intimidating, like going fishing or getting on a motorcycle, or, getting on the back of a horse. And I just, like with Find a Way, is like, you don't have to keep doing it if you don't like it, but give it a shot.
I was so excited when I found out that I was the one that won the Harley Davidson contest that you have. So I am signing up for my local tour here. How? So once I get my certification, thanks for having that contest. But once I get that certification, I have never been to Montana. It's one of the 4 states I have not been to. And that is my dream, maybe to hop on a Harley in Montana with you.
Wouldn't that be something? Let's please make that happen. I think the only advice I'd give you that you didn't ask for about it is just take your time, and trust yourself and focus on what's in front of you. There's so many, with experience and these life experiences, like trying, right? You're going to go try it out and see if you like, and all that good stuff. There's so many metaphors for business and life. And it's just really interesting. Whenever I'm on the back of my motorcycle and I start to feel maybe a car behind me or something, and I'm checking my side mirrors, I remember that, focus on what's in front of you. And it's good stuff.
That sounds like a song.
Probably will be.
What was it like singing in front of the 5 presidents? You were one of the independent artists and watching that video, but what did it feel like singing for them?
Well, it felt like a tremendous honor. I mean, it was. I grew up watching my grandfather serve in the House of Representatives for Montana. In Montana, in Helena, I was an honorary page. I would go get people their like pencils and Cokes, and so I got to see it from his seat, so to speak. And all I could think about was like, man, I hope he can see this right now, because he would be delighted. And I felt a huge amount of responsibility, right? And it was such a nonpartisan, purposeful event. And I love that when people can put their politics aside and just say, hey, we're here for our people. And that's the point, right? And so to be able to, I just, oh, Pam, well, here's what I did. So we had all the artists had and different presenters and such had the opportunity to meet the presidents prior to the performance and take a picture. And so, there's tons of Secret Service and such and husbands here. And I'm like, listen, I have not performed yet, so we can't screw this up, or they could just kick us out and be like, oh, she's not singing tonight. So we go into this room and we're prefaced like, hey, do not talk to anyone. You're just going in, getting your picture and out. I'm like, okay, and I'm ready. And so first of all, we walk in and you don't want to screw up. And everyone, each one of the presidents was so kind and like so grateful that we're there. Well, now we're all friends in my mind. So we take the picture and off I go onto the stage. And I think they have video of it. It makes me sweat thinking about it. Like walk up on stage. Well, I didn't think they would be in the front row. I thought they'd be sequestered somewhere. Well, they're in the front row. And so I see them, and just like any other concert with the front row, I'm like, oh, hey guys. Hey guys, to the presidents. And, and then cut to, you've got Lady Gaga up there, in her Lady Gaga ways. And she's like, hello, Mr. President. And she's so, composed. And then there's Quayle from Montana. Hi guys. I mean, I just, oh my goodness. And I didn't even realize, because you're just in the moment until I watched it back. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's something.
Oh, that is great. Watching that video, because they're showing you singing and then they're showing the expressions of the president smiling at you and then back and forth. Oh, what an opportunity. I love it.
It's really, sometimes, I've worked for a lot and earned a lot of opportunities. And then there's also these like moments in my life that are just Forrest Gump moments where you just walk into things and you're like, this is unbelievable. And really just kind of awe-inspiring. And Billy Anderson, who's absolutely precious, calls those moment God winks. Those little reminders that you are on purpose.
I love the God winks. Yeah. Speaking of that, you have done a lot in your young career so far. What are a few things in your personal and business on your bucket list?
Oh, gosh. Well, so I have a few things that I just recently did that I'm still in the works of crossing off my list, which is really exciting. And I'm hoping to be able to share more of that later this year. I would love to be able to do some TV and film and kind of incorporate that like Dolly and Reba have. I just love connecting with people. And when you think of, our precious Betty White and Lucille Ball, and just, I don't know what that is. I just know that there's something there that I want to do. And I'm still kind of molding that clay. Writing is, again, so healing that I would like to, work on some books and kind of take the songs to the pages in a different way and see the world and continue to make positive impact. There's so many places that I want to go and just experience. And absorb. One specifically is Japan, which we were supposed to go back in 2020. So we've got that, one of these days, just take in the world and share music, because music is so, you don't have to speak the language to feel something. And when you were asked, when you were mentioning like piano and guitar, like the fact that anywhere I go, I have the skill set to pick up a guitar and share music with complete strangers who might also play instruments, and to have that connection and goodness that comes from music, it's, like, how do you take it everywhere? And then, personally, I just want to be better. I just want to be a better kid, better sister, better stepmom, better wife. And so I'm just really I'm probably just spending a lot more time inward to really go, what does that mean? And keep redefining that and making sure I'm still on purpose.
Some reason I see a fashion like Reba in your future of having the Stephanie Quayle fashion line.
That'd be so much fun. Yes, there's so much possibility and opportunity. I think right now I'm just so deep in song town and land, and just been writing every single day, which has been really just, I don't know. It's just giving me a lot of perspective. And so we'll see where it all goes. Who knows? Maybe I'll have a horse feed on the line. Like Stephen, like the Paul Newman of horse feed. I don't know.
I like that. I know, one day at a time, and more self-care and taking care of yourself. But I know it's so exciting to see, your career and everything that you're doing and in the future. And I just really, really appreciate you taking the time today to be on the Pam Goodwin Show, and would love to, let our viewers know how they can reach out and how to find you.
How to find me. Well, and my love for Texas runs so deep. So I try to be there as often as I can as well. So, and I'll get to see you hopefully in a couple months.
Good.
So everywhere on social media, it's just Stephanie Quayle, all streaming platforms, and stephaniequayle.com is for everything, tour and merch. We're working on some really fun pieces there. And also we have a fan page, which I don't really like the word fan, because we're family, we're friends. And we have it's called the Flock of Quayle, which is, for the hunters out there, we all know it's a covey, and covey doesn't rhyme with much. So Flock of Quayle. We have that on Facebook, which is you get invited in, and it's just an incredible group of people that love country music, and it's all about supporting and building each other up. And and I'm just a DM away. And I respond to all my own stuff. My team's always like, Stephanie, I'm like, I have to, it's my voice. So I got to do it.
That's great. Well, I hope to see you soon in Montana, Nashville, or your Summerfield farm in North Carolina. So thanks again, Stephanie.
Thank you for having me. I adore you.
I adore you. Thank you.